And we're joined in the studio by Ashley Powell.
Hello.
Welcome, Ashley. Thanks for coming in.
You're welcome.
And you are a sword dancer.
That's right.
Brilliant. So what is sword dancing?
Well, sword dancing, people probably think when they think of sword dancing of Scottish sword dancing, but where you sort of dance over crossed swords, but it's nothing like that. This is Yorkshire sword dancing, real sword dancing, where you have generally 6 or 8 men, usually men, can be women or mixed, who are, each have a dancing sword, which looks rather like a big spatula kind of thing, sort of palette knife kind of idea. And you get joined into a circle, and then each holding the tip of the sword of the man next to you, and you go around in a series of figures. So that's the basic idea of it. And there are, in Sheffield, we have 2 traditional teams, which are Grenoside and Handsworth. There are only 5 traditional teams left in the country now. There used to be hundreds of them, but there are revival teams. But of the traditional ones, which are the ones that have been around for hundreds of years, they're the only 2 left in the area.
Fantastic. So what are the swords made of? Are they actual real swords?
Yes, they're made of steel, stainless steel, usually. Some teams around the country use wooden swords, and I do have a couple of sets of wooden swords that I use when I'm teaching kids and stuff. But generally they're metal.
Right, lovely. So can you tell us a little about the history of sword dancing?
Well, we don't actually know where it started. We do know that certainly in this area it's at least 200 years old. The Grenoside sword dancers that I've been in for longest, they are at least 200 years old. But where it originated, we don't really know. There are other dance traditions in different countries. Whether they're related to those or not, we don't know.
Yeah. And are the dances actually written down or recorded, or are they just sort of transmitted?
They used to be just each village would have its own dance, and there's sort of figures that are in common with them. But then at the turn of the last century, Cecil Sharp, the famous folk archivist, he started notating all the dances and writing down all the songs because they were starting to disappear. And he published them in a series of volumes, and so when the folk revival started in the beginning of the last century, around the 50s and 60s, then they were useful in sort of springboarding the folk, the revival of the folk tradition.
Great. So what kind of costumes do sword dancers tend to wear?
It varies. They're usually kind of formal costumes. Grenoside sword dancers wear paisley jackets. They've been paisley for donkey's years now, for as long as we can remember, just about. And whenever we have new ones made, the last ones were about 10 years ago, it's always a paisley design. The Handsworth sword dancers have got a very militaristic kind of costume. Not sure where that originates. I did hear a tale that somebody just happened to get them cheap from some kind of army surplus type place. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. Microphone problems. Can you hear me, Mother? Yeah. So I used to go and watch Grenoside sword dancers on Boxing Day, and they kept saying, "Oh, why don't you join?" And eventually, I thought, well, why not? And so I had a go, and it was quite fun to do, so I carried on doing it.
Fantastic. So you're involved in a project called Six Tommy Soldiers.
Yes, one of the other teams that I'm in is called the Six Jolly Miners, and that was kind of an offshoot of the Grenoside sword dancers that we started about 5 or 6 years ago. And one of the things that we wanted to do was to create a new dance and also commemorate the mining heritage in the area. And that was quite successful, and we're still doing the dance, but we decided we wanted to do a new dance, and with the centenary of World War One approaching, we decided that we'd develop a new dance based on the First World War. So we've now created that dance, and we have a team to do it, but we would like more members, because we've got, just on paper we've got enough, but getting them together is like herding cats. So this is a bit of a recruiting drive for the Six Tommy Soldiers dance, really.
Great. And what kind of people are you looking for?
anyone within reason. We don't mind men or women, young or old, as long as you've got reasonable level of fitness and you're fairly supple. Because with the figures that we do, you have to be able to bend down and stuff and go over the swords and whatnot. So as long as you're fairly fit, then we'll have you.
And a great way to get fit as well, isn't it?
Well, yes, so especially with some of the practice sessions where we're going over some of the more energetic figures over and over again, then you'll get a sweat on, especially this time of year.
Yeah, great. And so if someone was thinking about volunteering, what kind of commitment does that entail?
The only real commitment is obviously if we've got a dance out organised on a certain date, then if somebody sort of commits to doing that, then we don't want them shying off at the last minute. But other than that, we tend to practice once a fortnight, and we do that in Grenoside to the north of Sheffield at Grenoside Reading Room, and it's every other Wednesday at 7 p.m. So basically just for a couple of hours once a fortnight. We occasionally have Saturday workshops as well, so we may want people to come along to one of those.
Great. So the main two in Sheffield, the established groups, are Grenoside and Handsworth, sword dancers. Are they also looking for new members?
Yes. I mean, like any kind of organisation nowadays where it's a voluntary thing, then people are always after new members, and we're no exception. I think the problem is that it's kind of fallen out of favour with the younger generation. Go back 30 or 40 years and before the internet came along and other things to take people's attention, it was quite a thriving community of people who would join, especially from the folk world. But nowadays, getting younger people involved is difficult, and yet they're the ideal people to do it and to kind of do the dancers justice. So we're always on the lookout for people, but all the teams are struggling really for members, and we've all got ageing members who you keep thinking, well, he's got a dodgy knee and whatnot, and if 2 or 3 suddenly can't do it anymore, then we're struggling to get a team together. So but it is great fun to do, and so we just want to get anybody interested involved in joining the teams.
Yeah, fantastic. And you mentioned you work with children, sword dancers.
For about the last 4 years, when we did the Six Jolly Miners dance, we had a commemoration event commemorating the 150 years of a mining explosion in High Green, just to the north of Sheffield. And after that, we got the primary school involved there, High Green Primary School. And after the event, I started a sword dancing team there, and that's been going successfully for a few years. And I've also, in the last year, started one at Ecclesfield Secondary School, which is going quite well. So I see them as kind of the future generation who they'll probably tail off when they get to their teens and find more interesting things to do. But what I hope is that later on in life they'll think, I used to enjoy doing that, and we'll maybe join some of the adult teams again.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I hope the tradition continues.
Thank you very much.
You're doing good work with that. So how can people find out more?
Well, you can go on to, there's various websites. There's GrenosideSwordDancers.com, and there's SixJollyMiners.com, and there's also, with a new dance, there's SixTommySoldiers.com. So all these places you can find information, and there are links to other sites as well where you can find out about other teams, and you can also send a message on those sites, most of which will reach me, and so I can give more information to people, and they can come along and have a go at one of the